How is the government organized and how does it work at all three levels? Constantly, there will be slow evolution of the constitution. And if government needs to change the law, what will happen? The procedure is so hectic, so difficult, you cannot simply make that amendment. It is the exact opposite of, or it is against arbitrary usage of power. Hello everyone, welcome to PW OnlyIAS. Hope you are all doing great today. So, today we will be seeing the third chapter of Indian Polity. And without any further delay, let us straight away head towards it. So, like I have been telling you, any queries that you have with regard to your preparation, with regard to polity answer writing, or with regard to generally anything as far as UPSC is concerned, you may contact me here in this channel. It's our Telegram channel. It's an official Telegram channel for the faculty of PW OnlyIAS. That's me. So you can contact me here. Now heading on towards our topic, which is the concept of the Constitution. What do you mean by the concept? What do you mean by Constitution? So Constitution, as we understand, it is a booklet or a book or a document or a series of documents which clearly specifies the do's and the don'ts. That is what it means. It puts a limitation on the government. What can the government do? To what extent it can do? It is clearly defined. Why? Why do you need it? It is needed so that arbitrary power is not exercised by the government. What do you mean by arbitrary power? You do what you like. Getting the picture? You do what you like. You pass any rule that you want, pass any bill that you want, and change the constitution as and when you feel like. So, concept of constitution, the basic purpose is put a limit. That's the point. We'll take it up a little more further. Constitution is derived from the Latin word constituere, which means to establish or set up. What is its modern meaning? Its modern meaning is those principles that specify the organization and working of government. How is the government organized? The central level, state level, and at the local level. And how does it work at all three levels? Then it is the relationship between government and people in terms of rights and duties. In India's sense, in India's case, if you take, we can talk about fundamental rights as well as fundamental duties. And when it comes to talking about the duties of a government or how an ideal government should be, we have the guidelines called directive principles of state policy. A constitution is described as, so there are around 7 descriptions here, but all have the same meaning. Let us see. Fundamental law of the land. That is, it is a basic, it is a foundation on which all other laws are built later. It is the supreme law of the state. That means you have to respect the constitution. Basic law of the country, which is the same meaning as fundamental law. Instrument of the government. That is, instrument of the government means it is through the constitution. Keeping the constitution in perspective, government will frame the rules and laws or government will make the bills. It is the rules of the state. Basic structure of polity. Why? Because it will clearly talk about the different bodies, the principles involved, the relationship between the bodies, the relationship between the bodies and the public, everything. Grand norm of the country, the foundation. Clear, people? Let us take it further aside. Functions. Functions of the constitution. It declares and defines the boundaries of political community. Like I told you, when we talk about legislature, executive, it will tell where exactly the power starts and where does it end. Declares and defines the nature of political community. What type of nature it is? Is it a democracy? Is it an autocracy? Who is sovereign? Is it a republic? Etc. Identity and values of national community. So every constitution will be a reflection of the culture, the social, historical, political, economic culture of that particular country. So if you look at the US Constitution, it is largely what is the basic economic principle involved there? It is capitalism. And it is basically like give people the freedom to do what they want. That is the basic idea there. But when you come to the Indian Constitution, it is more of Gandhian socialism. It doesn't clearly advocate capitalism. It is more to do with welfare. Declare and define the rights and duties of citizens, which we have already seen as FR and FD, fundamental rights and fundamental duties. Establish and regulate political institutions. Declare and define nature of political community, and here it is establish and regulate the political institutions. That means limits on the government and government bodies. Share powers between different layers of the government. That is, we are referring to center, state, and local bodies. That is the Panchayati Raj institutions and municipalities. Declare official religious identity of state and differentiate between sacred and secular authorities. So here, say for example, in the case of Pakistan, Pakistan made Islam their state religion. But in India, we don't have a state religion. We don't recognize a religion as, okay, this is the major religion of the country. We don't do that. That is why we call ourselves what? Secular state. We don't detach ourselves completely from it, but we will support all the communities. We will try to support them, because every religion is, after all, what? It's a culture. Getting the picture? Then commit states to particular social, economic, or developmental goals. The clear idea will be there. What social goals are needs to be achieved, what economic goals are needs to be achieved, what political goals or developmental goals are need to be achieved here. Taking it further forward, the qualities. What should be the qualities of a good constitution? The first word here that we are going to see is brevity. What do you mean by brevity? It should be precise and to the point. That is, don't use too much of complex language, which people won't be able to understand, and it will confuse people. Clarity. Again, simple language. That is, don't use very tough vocabulary, whereby which each and every time you have to open the dictionary and find out what is the meaning of the word. Definiteness. It should have a definite, clear meaning. That means when you read a sentence, that is, India is a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic. The meaning is clear. We are a sovereign country, we are a socialist country, we are a secular country, we are a democratic country, and we are a republic. We don't have a king or a queen. We have a elected president as the head of the state or head of the country. That is what it means. It's clear, it's definite. There is no double opinion. Like, okay, is it this way or is it that way? No, it's a single clear meaning. Comprehensiveness in laying down powers of the government. Comprehensiveness, that means everything is clearly defined. Every body of the government, every organization of the government, every constitutional body, clearly they know what are the do's and don'ts. Suitability according to needs and aspirations of the people. It should be suitable. What are the people's feelings? What are the people's aspirations? What are the people's desires? Constitution should be a reflection of that. So, if you look at our constitution also, when we decided to go for universal adult suffrage, which means what? Giving voting rights to everybody. Because before that, even under the Government of India Act of 1935, which we have already seen, tax, property, and other qualifications were the criteria for giving voting rights. That is, you should be paying tax, you should be having a property, and certain other qualifications. If you have, only then you will have voting rights. 1947, when we got independence, we decided to take it away all. Why? Because that was according to the desires and aspirations of the people, to actually uplift the downtrodden. Because at the time of independence, 86% of our country was illiterate. 86%. So to ensure that they should have social right, economic right, that right, this right, we decided what? Let us ensure that everybody in the country has political right first. From north to south, east to west. So thereby, what are you doing there? You're literally uniting the country, and irrespective of caste, religion, state, language, race, gender, anybody who is above 21 years of age, you're giving them all voting rights. Why were we were able to do that? Our aspirations of our people. Stability, not easy to tamper with, means what? It should not be something where you can keep changing the constitution every now and then. All right. Every now and then you should not be able to change the constitution. Amendment process should not be too easy. Adaptability. A constitution is a living document. It is not a dead letter. According to the changing times, according to the suitability, you should be able to make changes to it. All right, people. Taking it further forward. Classification. So there are various classifications of a constitution. First one being evolved, the other being enacted. Evolved means constantly there will be slow evolution of the constitution. It will keep on evolving. Gradual evolutionary process. And there are two ways of looking at it. So everything will get added into it. That is, any conventions are there, practices are there, principles or judicial decisions, everything will keep getting added to the constitution. That is, the moment you feel, oh, this convention is nice, this practice is nice, let us make it part of our constitution. That judicial decision, it has an impact on the individual right. Let us make it part of the constitution. Means what? Your constitution keeps getting added up. Keeps getting added up. So every day, it's almost like every day, some addition keeps on happening. That is where the second point comes in. It is cumulative, like the British Constitution. So for some of you who are my public administration students, you will be knowing, and I have told it in my class also, Indian Constitution, when we talk about, there is a small book which is available easily in the market. It easily fits into the back pocket of a jeans. You can pull it out and show it to anybody. This is the Indian Constitution. Keep it. You can give it to a UK citizen. Here, this is the Indian Constitution, read it. But let us say we ask the UK citizen, show me where is your constitution. He'll be like, come. He'll show a very big hall. And you'll be like, okay. And from one end, it will start. It will be going on. And you will not be able to find the other end. Why? Because that is constantly getting added up. Means it is not written, specified, bound. As per the convention, as per any practices or any judicial decision comes, the constitution, it gets added to the constitution. Getting the point here? Enacted means it is deliberately made by a constitution, constituent assembly or council or king or parliament. Enacted means deliberately made. Deliberately made means what? Purposefully. You're very clear what you want. So you write everything down, define it very clearly. It could be in the form of a book or document or series of documents. The best example for that is the Indian and American Constitution. Understood? Evolved means what? Every day something will be happening. Not necessarily every day, but almost some addition will keep happening to it. Enacted means properly defined. Written down. Clear? Written and unwritten. Written and unwritten is very similar to, written is similar to enacted, unwritten is similar to evolved. If you read the principles, you will understand. Written means provision as book or series of documents, consciously formulated and adopted by a body, like a constituent assembly, king, council, or the parliament. Which all countries have it? India, Canada, France, USA, Japan. Written constitution. Unwritten, when we say, it's based on conventions, practices, principles, charters, statutes, and judicial decisions. It is historically evolved. From a very early time, it keeps evolving. It's non-documentary and uncodified. Means what? You cannot bind it and keep. It's not actually written down anywhere. It will keep on evolving. UK, New Zealand, and Israel has that type of constitution. Clear, people? Moving on, let us move on to the next classification, rigid and flexible. Rigid and flexible basically talks about to what extent can you make changes in the constitution. Rigid means making changes is very difficult. Flexible means making changes is easy. So what type of constitution does India has? Is it rigid or is it flexible? Let us see. Rigid means cannot be amended as easily as ordinary laws. There is a special procedure for amendment. Means ordinary laws are those laws which are passed by a bill or an act. Then there are constitutional laws. So ordinary laws, if you want to make change, you can make it very easily. But constitutional laws, if you want to make change, there is a separate process and procedure for it. And there is a clear difference. Constitutional law, separate procedure. Ordinary law, separate procedure. This is found in USA, Australia, and Switzerland. Not easy. This is one easy way of remembering this, I will tell you. All right. That is, now you all would be wondering at times, why is it that in USA there is so much of gun violence? Why can't they change the law? The reason being that gun law, that is every US citizen has the right to own a firearm. It is enshrined in US Constitution. So it's a constitutional right. And if you want to make change to that right there, it is not at all easy. Not at all easy. No matter how much amount of children die, how many teachers die in schools and colleges, because those are the areas where maximum gun violence keeps occurring. Very recently also we saw how Trump was targeted by somebody who was a little deranged. This is the issue. They have a very rigid constitution, and it is a constitutional right of every US citizen to own a firearm. And because it mentions only firearm, it could be what? A normal handgun, pistol or revolver, or it could be a full-fledged assault rifle. I can own it if I'm a US citizen. And if government needs to change the law, what will happen? The procedure is so hectic, so difficult, you cannot simply make that amendment. Clear? Coming to flexible. Amendment is same as ordinary law. That means amendment is very easy. There is no separate procedure for amending constitutional law, ordinary law. For both it is the same. There is no distinction. It is generally seen in UK and New Zealand. And in India, what do we have? It is a synthesis of both. Some parts, if you want to make amendment, it is easy, flexible. Certain other parts of the constitution, it is rigid. Then through judicial intervention, what has happened is judiciary has clearly told that you cannot amend the basic structure of the constitution. Is basic structure given in the constitution? No. Basic structure is a judicial invention. The Supreme Court has created this term. So they have also not clearly defined it. Through many judicial rulings, today we have a general understanding, okay, these things could be the basic structure that you are not supposed to touch. Details of this will come in our coming chapters, but just, the initial chapters are just nothing but a trailer to what is going to come in the future. Moving on, people. Federal and unitary. What do you mean by federal and unitary? Federal means division of power between national and regional governments. There is a clear division. Example, USA, Switzerland, Australia, Canada, Russia, and Brazil. Whereas unitary means the national government will have all the central powers. It is very strong. The national government is so strong compared to the regional governments. Regional governments are like a tiny, subsidiary or an offshoot of the national government. Regional governments are subordinate in a unitary government where concentration of power is there in the national government. Example, UK, France, Japan, China, Italy, and Norway. What is India here? India again is neither this nor that. It is quasi-federal. State governments have enough power. State governments have enough independence also. But in certain matters, when center takes a decision, state will have to listen to the center. In certain matters, residuary powers also, everything lies with the center. Clear, people? Taking it further forward, procedural and perspective. Procedural, when we say, it is legal and political structures of public institutions. That is law. Which laws guide the public institutions? How are their structures made? How many branches they have? All of that. Legal limits of government's power to protect democratic processes and fundamental human right. That is the significant aspect here of procedural. That means you lawfully, you place a limit on what the government can do, cannot do. That is procedural. What about prescriptive? It will describe how government functions, how public authorities must strive to achieve societal goals. That is prescription, just like a doctor's prescription. how many times you're supposed to take the medicine, how many tablets you're supposed to take. Should it be before breakfast, after lunch, whatever. Doctor will prescribe, you follow it. Prescriptive is that. How the institutions must work towards achieving the societal goals. That is the next classification. Then we'll come to the next topic, constitutionalism and constitutional government. Now, one thing you need to understand here. Having a constitution, does it ensure that everything will be smooth? No. Constitution is only a framework. But if a dictator is ruling, somebody like Hitler, then you have a constitution, you don't have a constitution, doesn't make any difference. Getting the point? So if constitutionalism, respect for the constitution needs to happen means, this is essential. You need to have a constitutional government. And in generally, the agreement is that a constitutional government is only possible where the government is democratic, elected. Clear? Let us look into that now. Constitutionalism. Limitation on government. Otherwise, it is a civilized government. So the government, when you say it is civilized, it means the government respects the people. Government does not act as if I have all the power, I will do whatever I want. That is dictatorship. Getting the point here? So, constitutionalism, when we say, it is about limiting the powers of the government, and it is a civilized government. A government that knows, okay, we lost the majority, let us move away. Antithesis of arbitrary powers. Antithesis of arbitrary powers means it is the exact opposite of, or it is against arbitrary usage of power. It does not entertain arbitrary usage. Prevents concentration of power. That is, center will not have all the powers with it. It will be distributed. Plus, legislature will have its own powers, judiciary will have its own powers, executive will have its own powers. Constitution doesn't guarantee constitutionalism in a dictatorship. True, you can have the best constitution in the world, but what if somebody decides to actually run the country against all the principles of it, or makes use of the loopholes available in the constitution? Let us take our emergency period only, 1975 to 1977. Yes, supporters of the emergency period may say, you know, the country was filled with riots on one side. There were a lot of corruption allegations happening. There were a lot of internal security related issues. There were so many secessionist factors in the country. They can tell that. But that is there even today in one or the other form. Does that mean we will put emergency again? And if emergency was so successful means, then why was 44th Amendment Act passed, which made it almost impossible now to declare emergency at the national level? Getting the point here? So constitutionalism, you need to achieve it means you need to have a civilized government there. Constitutional government is basically what? A democratic government. Clear, people? Moving on. Elements of constitutionalism. What are the elements? Popular sovereignty. Means what? Elected. Then rule of law. Equal protection for everybody, and nobody will be treated specifically. Same law for everyone. Same protection also for everyone. Democratic government, responsible and accountable. Separation of powers. Popular sovereignty, one more thing is there. We take our decisions. We are not under anybody. All right. Separation of powers, legislature, judiciary, executive, independent judiciary, civilian control of military. That is the civilian control. Civilian means it is you and I, civilian life, citizens, normal citizens of the country. We elect the government, and the government, through us, the government controls the military. Now remember, there is an easy way of remembering this. India is a country that controls a military. India is a country that controls the military. Pakistan is a military that controls a country. Remember that. Clear? That is the basic reason. If anybody asks you tomorrow, even if you get an interview question, what do you think is the biggest problem between India and Pakistan? This is the problem. The civilian government in Pakistan literally has no knowledge or no control of what the military will do next. Getting the point? Because too much, if the government tries to show, no, we are going to control you, what will happen? Military will call a coup. Military will dismiss the government. Military will take over the administration. Whoever is the president or the prime minister, whom the military feels is a threat to them, they will put them in the jail. And if it is their lucky day, they will even get them assassinated or given capital punishment. This is an average day in Pakistan. Clear, people? Police under law and judicial control. Police is also guided by the law. Police cannot take any random decision or any arbitrary decision. They are also bound by law and they are bound to the judiciary also. Respect for individual rights, that is a fundamental right. You cannot tamper with it. All right, people. So, once again, with that, we come to an end of our chapter here. Hope you all understood it. Any comments that you have, any suggestions that you have, you can put it up here as well as in the comment section. All right, you can contact me here for any of your queries. Clear, people? So have a fantastic day. Have a great preparation. All right, stay tuned in this channel for more chapters that will be coming your way. Take care.